and welcome to the Florida Caniac Perspective. I am the Florida Caniac, and it's been nothing but great news to hear about the NHL as they make their return to back on the ice here for sure, especially our beloved Carolina Hurricanes. Today's episode is going to be talking a little bit more into that as far as the roster, what this team's going to be bringing with them all the way to Toronto. We're also going to be diving into what the schedule is going to look like as they take on that best of 5 against the New York Rangers. And I'm also going to dive into one of your questions from #FloridaCaniac. But first, look at this beautiful moment that we're going to be watching here. Sebastian Aho back on the ice, dangling around. Andrei Svechnikov doing Andrei Svechnikov things. And look at that, Dougie Hamilton back on the ice after that horrific injury. And we all look forward to seeing all of our boys back on the ice. Well, as we all know, the CBA got renewed for 4 more years of NHL player and league peace, so that's always a good thing to see out there as well. Now, as far as this roster goes, before I get into that roster, let me just get into some of the situation that's going to be happening with this team. There's going to be a complete series of practices between the 13th and the 25th of July, all the way through every single day. And I believe those practices are going to be closed to the public. Sorry, guys. On top of that, they're going to be also doing a training session for, I believe, 5 days in Toronto before they play the exhibition game, which I believe the team is still to be determined on that one. With that said, here is the roster that they are going to be taking to Toronto. You're going to be seeing some very usual names that we are normally seeing out there, except one usual name you're not seeing on there, Brett Pesce. Unfortunately, still injured. Hopefully, he can see this team soon, but not sure if they're going to be able to make room for him or not on this roster if he stays injured with the amount of talent that's on here. That's right, you're looking at 16 forwards, 10 defensemen, and 4 goaltenders. Obviously, with the AHL out of commission and with a lot of being not to be able to switch around with that league, they have to kind of beef up the roster on each NHL team to do that. However, there's some notable players on this roster that I'm enjoying looking forward to seeing. First off, Geeky Squad himself. Morgan Geeky is going to be back on his team with an incredible debut on this roster. Last time he played out there, got himself a couple of goals out there, and I thought he was something to look forward to for sure. Another notable player that I have noticed on here is Jake Beane. Had an outstanding, not so outstanding season, I should say, with the AHL, and his time is really starting to look limited with this roster. So this might be one of those situations where he has to be making or breaking it with this roster, and this might be the time that shows if he's going to be sticking around with this organization or he might be moving on to different pastures out there. Ryan Suzuki, the draft pick, the first round draft pick that Carolina had, shockingly enough somehow made this roster. Although he has made great strides with this organization and with his performance overall, it's a little shocking to see that he is actually on this roster, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does have to bring to the table. And of course, the attitude that he does bring on the ice will be a huge boost overall. Last but not least, I cannot go without saying this player's name, but it's good to see Sammy Bachman on this roster still. He is completely recovered from his injury for sure after the trade with the New Jersey Devils. I'm really looking forward to see what he really does bring to the table, as he's more of a standalone defenseman versus the forward type defenseman like you would see in a Dougie Hamilton overall. With that said, guys, as far as the goaltending goes, Peter Mrazek, I think, is going to be the expected starter out of this guy, with James Reimer being backing up. We might see Nedeljkovic possibility if he's going to be more the emergency case in this situation. I don't see much time with Forsberg either, but expect Mrazek and Reimer to be the top loads for the goaltending squad. So, August 1st, are you ready? The Carolina Hurricanes will be battling against the New York Rangers in Game 1 of a best of 5 series. And this is not going to be a picnic of a series as well, as we all know the Rangers have had Carolina's number the past 4 games, and has not been a pretty number to say the least. They've been close here and there, but they just cannot get the W in the regular season against this Rangers team. However, this is playoffs. This is a playoff mentality. Anything goes, as we all witnessed as Carolina took down the defending Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals in a best of 7 series in Game 7 in overtime. Couldn't get any better than that. Thank you, Brock McGinn and Justin Williams, for that one. Now, with this Rangers team, there is a few players you really got to focus on that Carolina needs to somehow take the balance away from them on. Mika Zibanejad is a big-time killer of the New York for the New York Rangers. He has been a force to reckon with and has gotten quite a few goals throughout his entire season this time around, and is probably due for a big contract pretty soon. Of course, Artemi Panarin is another big name that the Rangers did pick up this past offseason, and he has been a force ever since and has fit quite well with that New York Rangers squad. And of course, let's not forget about the one guy that didn't want to play for the Carolina Hurricanes, Adam Fox. Yeah, I'm sure he wanted a little bit more money and a somewhat better opportunity, and he has showed it against the Carolina Hurricanes lately, as he has been a pretty good player against this Hurricanes roster. Now, with that said, we got one player that the Rangers gave up to Carolina, and that's Brady Shea. The defensive player has some great insight on this team, and look forward to that being an advantage for the Carolina Hurricanes. With this series, you could say the offense is better on this side and the defense is better on this side. Offense being barely the New York Rangers, defense being barely the Carolina Hurricanes from a statistical point of view. The game and the series is going to come down to goaltending. That's right, I said it, goaltending. Henrik Lundqvist can perform when it matters the most. The question is, will Mrazek and Reimer be able to do the same, if not better? Mrazek did prove it in last year in the playoffs. Can he do it again with a different backup in James Reimer? I believe that's going to be the case now that he's got the experience and the motivation to move forward with this roster. I could see Carolina winning this series in 4 to 5 games. It's going to go a complete distance. I don't see any series, to be upfront with you, except maybe 1 or 2 that's going to go straight to 3 to 4 games all the way through. This one is still undecisive at 4, maybe going to be going into that 5th game where Carolina will reign supreme. Today's Ask Florida Caniac question comes from William Nelson, and he asks, is Eric Stahl a Hall of Famer? And to give you the short answer of that, not right away. To give you the long answer of that, I'm going to give you a yes on that, and here is why. Not quite at the 500 goal mark quite yet in his full career. He has over 1,000 points in his career and just a little over 1,200 games. So the points are somewhat there. However, the things that are going to kill him is the plus minus. He's not really good defensive forward at all, and he's had very little success in the playoffs, and that is including the 2006 Stanley Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, granted, he has been the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes for quite some time, bouncing around with the Rangers and now more recently the Minnesota Wild, and got himself an all-star appearance with that Wild team as well. However, he's on a Wild team that's also very old, and being one of the top producers on an older team does bode him pretty well to make himself a little bit of a better case to be a Hall of Famer. Now, is he going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Absolutely not. Will he eventually get in the Hall of Fame? I believe so. Definitely not before Rod Brind'Amour. I'm going to expect him to be a few more years after retirement to get that Hall of Fame introduction. I would say give it about 8 to 10 years after his retirement to actually become the Hall of Famer that we're expecting him to be. And William, don't forget to submit me your information, how I can get you that t-shirt sent out to you. And if you want to get your question answered here on the episode, definitely submit your question with hashtag AskFloridaCaniac. All you have to do is simply go to any of my social media handles and comment on anything I post. If you're new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell next by to get the latest and greatest updates for the Florida Caniac Network. And also check out the podcast, House of Hockey Podcast. There's a special episode with yours truly on it that gets interviewed by the host on what it's like to be a Canes fan here in Florida, and we dive a little bit into the tailgating as well up in North Carolina. Also, I'll be bringing my podcast back, so periodically you'll be seeing episodes pop up here and there. Don't forget to check those out. And thank you for watching this episode of the Florida Caniac Perspective. August 1st is coming sooner than ever as we look forward to Canes hockey once again. Let's saddle up and get ready to watch some awesome hockey once again. And as always, go Canes!